I welcome the Minister bringing the bill before the House. I suppose she would probably like to also acknowledge the contribution of Minister Sean Fleming over the time that he spent preparing in this bill. And I think it's an example of how we're trying to work with the credit union movement to try and improve on what I think everybody in this House agrees is an important and essential service. You have to remember where the credit union came from. It came from communities where perhaps there wasn't a lot of money, and it was a way of avoiding people having to turn to money lenders, of people knocking on the door, taking advantage of people who had very, very little, and then charging penal interest rate. And what Deputy Crowe talks about, the Sparkese model, I suppose in many ways developed from that same idea, that you have a sense of community banking. So the credit union is our community banking. It is essential, but it will face different challenges than it faced in the last century. And I think this bill is about readying the credit union movement for the century to come. So there will be significant changes ahead. I certainly think that app-based banking is going to significantly change the consumer experience. And while that isn't something that every person with different levels of digital literacy will be able to avail of, I certainly see An Post, for example, in communities where banks are pulling out of many communities, An Post Money, their new app-based banking, connecting with the massive network of banks, of post offices they have, nearly in every, never mind every town in the country, every parish in the country has a post office. And so you have effectively many of the benefits of a bank account using the app-based model, and then the benefit of having that local network. And I think that idea is something that the credit unions can build on, and I think this bill allows them to do that. I think the changes to governance in particular is very beneficial. I would caution that in many cases some credit unions have been the victim of financial impropriety by the most senior people in those branches. Somebody might have a gambling addiction, there may be financial fraud and so on. So we have to make sure that the community oversight, the governance is still there, that it's not a burden on the running of the business, but that the protections are in place, that the safety of a community's savings is not prey to any one particular person that might have problems. I think when I looked at the numbers, like, they're staggering: €17 billion in savings, 5.5 billion in loans, and 3.5 million members. So it really reaches into every part of the community. And things that I thought was really positive were the improvements to services that members are going to see out of this. Minister, I'll finish by saying I've spoken about credit unions in general. I think of my own area, Finglas Credit Union, Ballymun and Ballygall, which recently merged, Progressive Credit Union, Larkhill Credit Union. I know many of them do great work, and it will be a pleasure to have you out to the constituency to see some of that work and to meet with them about the concerns that they have in relation to this legislation, but also other issues in the community as well.